Welcome back, students of Night School Horror. As shadows lengthen in the second semester, prepare for a chilling curriculum. Unearth the unknown as we delve deeper into the abyss. This semester, we elevate the darkness where nightmares become lessons. Class is now in session. May you all survive this semester. In one piece.
What's up, everybody? Class. Sit down. Shut up. We got a lot to cover. I want to get right into it. So let's go down the attendance. And oh, look at that. It looks like we have a full house today. All right. First and foremost, it says everyone's favorite creep, Florida's favorite creep. We're talking about the ace in the hole, Sabrina. What's going on?
Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to talk about this today. I'm not going to take up too much time. I'm just excited to talk about it.
I love that. Everyone's all giddy. I love this energy that
bouncing in my seat
tonight. Yes, I do. I have a feeling it's because of all the hits that we're getting right now in Nigeria. But let's see.
Love our Nigeria fans.
We love them all. We love them all. All right, going down the attendance. Let's go. It says the smoothest of the smooth effect himself. Tommy James, are you here?
I am here, Mr. Malave. I'm here. The movie guy, baby. And as the movie guy, baby, I'm very excited to talk about this movie, baby. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am very excited.
I'm very excited.
And I am, of course, the longest reigning Who You Got champion. It's 621 days and counting. It's Mr. Malave, a.k.a. Matthew Malave, and I am your professor that is going to guide you through this late night hour of conversation because today we are talking Late Night with the Devil. And shout out to Strike Media for letting us see a private screening of this movie. And it comes out in UK and in the US on March 22nd. It is starring David Dastmalchian, right? Laura Gordon and a few others. And I got to tell you, right, this movie, basically it's centered around a late night talk show, and all he wants to do is be number one. So he creates this special on Halloween, and then shit goes down. I got to tell you really right off the bat, we're going to go straight first reactions without too much going into depth. I saw the trailer to this movie, and I instantly got attracted to the filming of it, the aesthetic, right? It looked very old school. It looked like we were actually watching a tube TV that just getting its colors right. You know what I mean? Like where we're in like the prime of like the television era at that point. And like, here we go, you know, and some of it looked a little campy. Some of it looked like, you know, all right, maybe, you know, we got something here. Maybe it's all like lights and smokes and everything. Let's see what we have. And then I saw this movie, and honestly, from the narration, from the beginning, I was kind of hooked, and I was drawn to this story. And then there was some beautiful twists. There was some beautiful makeup and design. And honestly, like I was pleasantly surprised. And I got to be honest, it's kind of like one of the freshest things I've seen in a while. I'm going to open it up to my peoples. All right. And I'm going to say first reactions to Late Night with the Devil. I'm going to go with the smooth effect.
All right. Listen, first off, this was an anticipated movie for me. Okay. I seen the poster. I seen who was in it. David Dastmalchian. Huge. I fucking love him. I think he's awesome in everything he touches. And I read the synopsis and I was like, this could be interesting. This could be a lot of fun. Now, the vision that I had before, you know, because again, a synopsis is like a fucking line. It's just like a little straight line of explaining what it's about.
I gave more about the movie than that they did.
Yeah, I agree, because I thought this was going to be a completely different movie. But again, I was ready for this movie. I remember telling you guys, both of you, saying, "Hey, we need to review this movie." I have a good feeling it might be pretty good. If not, it's going to be shit, and we'll just have more fun making fun of it.
Yep.
I watched it, and after I watched it, I was like, wow. And I'm not going to go too more depth because there's so much more to talk about. But fuck yeah. I had a great time. I had a lovely time with this movie.
Yeah, man, I did too. And yeah, again, thank you for putting it on our radar. And Strike Media for giving us this advanced copy. Because honestly, I don't know if eventually we would have definitely covered because you were hyped for it too. So yeah, I'm just
and it's
I'm
Shudder.
happy to get into it.
This is Shudder as well.
Yes, it is Shudder. Yes.
Shudder is involved with this one, and like you mentioned before, how fresh it is.
Yeah.
It's currently 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Boom, 100%.
100%.
I love
it hasn't
that.
come out yet. It has 100%.
And you know how Rotten Tomatoes is. They sometimes they're stingy.
They're usually jerkers. Yeah, they're usually jerk faces. So
yeah. But right now, I kind of agree with them. Show them my cards. Let's go with the Florida's favorite creep. What do you feel about this movie? First responses.
First thoughts going in, I did not look at the trailer from the limited clips and stills that I had seen. I said this has a really good aesthetic, and it's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. There will be no in between. And I am so happy that it was really, really good because I'm so excited to talk about everything that happened. It has this, again, it's like the old 70s talk show host aesthetic, and it's perfect the way that they do it. Everything about the cinematography on this movie was perfect. And it fits the narrative. It's not just they did it to be artsy or they did it for fun. It has a meaning the way they do it. And it's, it was so good. I was so happy. And I never agreed with Rotten Tomatoes, ever. Just, we know how they are.
Like
I never agreed with them. Ever. But straight up, that rating is what I'm feeling about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
They got it right for once.
Yeah, they definitely did. They definitely did.
And to talk about fresh, like, out of what we've been dealt with, I'll say for the past year in horror films, this is up there. This is so good, and it's original. They did different takes than like different movies have tried. It's gold.
Yeah, I love that. I want to, and that kind of like it's a perfect segue to what how I want to like open it up. Like, so this movie had like, and I mentioned it in the beginning, it was like it had some of the campy fun. It has a lot of the themes like a regular like old school scary movie, right? We have possession, you know, we have cults, satanic rituals, you know, and that's all like really like embedded into like the horror lore, right? And it's so easy to mess that shit up as we've been seeing. You know, I like a big thinking question when I was like watching this or after I watched it was just like, how great did they pull that off? And how, since the different premise, right? Because a lot of people have tried certain things, but nothing quite like this to kind of like, it's like a period piece, but in a time where everyone was glued to the TV sets, Sweet Week, and all that other shit. How did they make it work, right? And you know, there's no wrong answers, but that's how I want to open this up. Like, how did they bring all of these tropes that have felt like they've been overused and kind of like overdone and done badly? How did they do it correctly? I mean, I'll open it up. Like,
listen, it's hard to say because whatever creative team they had going for them, whatever writers they had on this whole thing, I don't know who made what decisions, but that group right there knows how to fucking write.
Yeah.
They know how to intertwine characters with background, characters with dialogue, because again, all of this is just, it's set up almost like a play where you have one stage, you have one set that you work with. You might get a little behind the scenes, but if you put this in a play setting, you literally only need the studio set to make this movie work. And it was fantastic the way they did so minimal with backgrounds. And it was mostly like, because the intro is all just stills. It's not like a huge set where they're out and you see them in real time. I love that the beginning is set almost like a documentary of Jack Delroy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interview style for Jack, and then you cut to a studio, and that is where the story takes place, in that studio.
Yeah.
That's just good writing, to be able to have one set and one set only.
And the writers of the movie are the directors, because there's two directors on this movie. I believe it's two brothers, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. It's Cameron and Colin Carnes.
Okay. All right.
They're the writers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sometimes like with the writers and the directors, they had the visions as they were writing it, like, this is how I want to shoot it. And that's for me, when I was thinking about that question, like how they pull this off, I feel like they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they were just like, okay, it's very meta at the end of the day too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because like they know where exactly it is, and it alludes to your point in the beginning where it's just like it's documentary style in a way, like, hey, at this time Jack was like rising star, gave us a background or whatever, and then like the ups and the downs, and it was like this was the uncut thing of the special. So it's almost like found footage too. They're blending so much into this, but I felt like they kept it simple too. Right?
Yeah.
They're just like, listen, like and they treated it like an actual talk show. I feel like, like they was just like, so if we're talking about this, let's just talk about this. And then I love that they had, now we'll get into like the characters and everyone, like from the movie, like they had all these different guests that were like on both sides of the spectrum of horror and like, mediums and spirituals to kind of like catch this bullshit. Like, guys, we're good over here. Like, yeah, we can go that way or we could go this way, but no, we're gonna fuck you up and turn you upside down. Right? Like they had the medium in the beginning,
Crystal.
What's his name? Chris. There we go. Crystal.
He was the medium, the psychic.
Yes.
I loved his character, you guys.
I know he was great. Like the way he even came out, like, because even as I'm watching it,
Faisal Bazi, that's his real name.
I think
Bazi.
what's the way you put it, Mr. Malave, how it's like it felt like you were watching an old school news report, fucking Late Night with Johnny Carson type of shit. Because as I'm watching it, when he came out, I'm even thinking like, oh, here comes a fake guy, with the fucking bullshit. Yeah,
you think it's all just for entertainment? Like, he hired this guy for entertainment. It's not a real thing.
And
but.
It's so, and I like because the whole late night, like the with Johnny Carson thing, that is happening.
Yeah.
Carson's name is mentioned in this movie.
So trying to get ratings
because it's about the ratings.
Number one top.
And that's why I said like it's the power. It's like a fuck. What was it? Like a period piece. There you go.
Yeah. And the way they did it too in this movie, for anyone that's planning on watching it, and I'm sure we'll get to that point too, but you need to pay attention in the beginning. I'm going to let that be very clear. Don't take that beginning as, all right, well, it's just dialogue. No, it's just narration.
The dialogue is important in this entire movie.
You need to listen to what they're saying. There is a reason why it's being said, how it's being said, and then when it starts, you still need to pay attention. Every character matters in this movie. Every single
character matters, and almost kind of like what you said earlier to Sabrina about it kind of being like almost like a play in a way where it's one stage, and it's just like and also another way is just like it actually has those acts, right? It's just like act one.
The commercial
it's
breaks.
Like the prelude is act one, and fucking it's like prelude, act one, all the way up to like after Christos, and then you're like, oh shit, like. Now enter in act two. And then that's when we're bringing in, the girl, and they're interviewing the little girl.
Well, before that, we get Carmichael.
Oh, Carmichael, yes.
He's the magician turned, I'll give, which is a real thing. This did happen where somebody said, and they were a former magician, people that can talk to the dead, do magic, show me you could do it, and I will give you money. That is a real thing. That really happened. So when they brought Carmichael out and he explained, and he pulls the check out, I was sitting there going, these fucking people did their research. They know what the fuck they're doing here. Let's fucking go. And he's a great character because he's so skeptical with shit. and he's calling every fucking thing out.
Yep.
The later part in the movie, we'll get to that part too, but when he's like, yo, play the footage back, fucking great. He looks at the camera. He breaks the fourth wall.
Yep.
Like he sees you as the viewer, the literal viewer of the movie as the viewer of the show. And for his character, I love his character because while he's the biggest skeptic on the planet, aren't we all? We all are. Like, if somebody brought somebody up on TV and was like, oh, this guy's gonna talk to your dead loved ones, you bet your ass half that audience is like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yep.
And the other half may be like, oh, let's see what he's got. And then there might be like a handful of people that are like, no, I believe instantly. If he says he can do it, he can do it. Yep. And you see him play off that with the audience. I love that we get audience view of things, of exactly like a talk show. And you see him come up to the two girls that Crystal was saying, hey, or Christu was saying, hey, I talked to your son who committed suicide. That's a huge thing. You both very lovely, blah, blah, blah. He wants to let you know he's okay. Suffering is over. And you see Carmichael come over to them and say, did you take a questionnaire?
Yeah, that was,
which they said yes.
And he does this completely off set. Like it wasn't on camera. They were not rolling at that point. He comes up after to tell them like, hey, did you do this? And they said, yeah, the same lady that was helping Christu. And at that point, I'm just like, oh, this is all fucking bullshit. This is all like he's playing. And I take Carmichael's side. He's there for the conflict to say like, no, this was all bullshit. The skepticism should be warranted. He is a necessary character and so well written that I was like, I believe him. He's an asshole.
He's the misdirection.
He's there for the misdirection. He's our smoke and mirror in this whole thing.
But he is the one that convinced me the entire time that I'm just like, this was all a setup, Maybe he's working with the host. Like I had all these thoughts running through my mind and it all centered around Carmichael because I'm like, he's an asshole, but he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Ian Bliss. That's the actor's name of Carmichael.
He did great.
Ian Bliss, you were fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. He was awesome, very believable.
I mean, everyone was fantastic, but like his character specifically had me like, yeah, I'm a skeptic. Fuck that. Challenge everything.
It was pretty awesome. And then like I just love it because like we're going back to like a little bit more. So when we get Christos and he just started like puking out black goo and shit like that. And we're like, yes, like all right, I like this. This is cool. And then like we could go now into like a little bit like we'll bring it all together now. Like so now in between, like what's great about this movie also, the way it's shot, like when we're on air, it's in color.
Yeah.
When we're on air, it's in color and we get to see it in all its like 8-bit glory. And then when we're off air, it's black and white.
Which is funny because it's supposed to be reversed.
Both sides of the story. Yeah.
That was something that I found very interesting. That's why I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when I was watching it, when they did it the second time is when I kind of was looking. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, that's an interesting take of how they're doing this. Interesting choice, because it's usually the opposite. We're talking about Johnny Carson again, black and white into color, but live, off air, black and white, on air in color. Reason for it, though, as we find out towards the end, there is a reason why they did that. Yeah, I mean, I loved that reverse flip to it, because not many people, when you watch it, may realize that. They may just be like, oh, well, it is what it is. And you're like, no, there's a reason why that's happening.
There's a reason.
They chose that for a reason.
Everything in this movie.
Everybody, like I said, every character matters in this movie. The audience matters. We'll get to a reason why, but the audience matters. Everybody fucking matters. Even the way it's shot, even the way a camera turns a certain way, there's reasons why it matters. And most movies that we have watched and that I know I have watched, sometimes you're just like, they did that because there's no reason for it. That was just a directive choice. No.
Pretty.
No. Not in this one. There's a reason why it's happening. And the black and white with color, I fucking loved it. I love that it was reversed. I loved how it has a reason for it, and it makes sense at the end.
The framing too.
Who is the cinematographer? I want to see the cinematographer.
The aspect ratio. Yep.
Yeah,
The
the aspect ratio
cinematographer-
changed from being on air to live.
And not only that, did you all
Matthew
catch the
Temple.
watermarks that kept coming up?
Yeah.
Yes.
The watermarks was like they said earlier, you have to pay attention, people, in the beginning, that this is the unedited footage of what happened that night. So not just the episode, you're getting everything, you know? And then at times when the watermark is like, oh, those are the unedited parts. Like it's almost like, oh, this is the deleted scene. You're like, you know, like, and it just keeps you on your toes, but it adds an extra layer of suspense to the audience that are watching it, because they're like, oh shit, wait, okay, this is off air now. Like, and now you're like, oh, why is that watermark there? Like, why is this back in there? And like you're questioning and everything, but you're also trying to look at things in the background. Like I know for myself, like I'm over here like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you know, like what is happening here? And then, you know, it builds the tension also with Jack, because there's on top of nailing every cue and everything when they're on air, he's dealing with all this chaos backstage off air. Like when they mentioned that Christos fucking passed away on the way to
He died.
on the way to the hospital. He just died. He's like,
It's also the added pressure of like, the show has to go well because my ratings need to go up. Like,
This would have been
is
the
night
end.
we change it all.
That's right.
Right.
And he was right.
Yes.
And he was right.
100%.
Since we were talking about the
It's a true
cinematography,
Faustian bargain.
I think we need to mention the cinematographer, because again, this movie is really well shot, and that is Matthew Temple. Shout out to Matthew Temple, because he did phenomenal.
Matthew
Phenomenal.
Temple, goddamn genius.
Great job,
good job, buddy.
I hope to see you do more stuff.
Please. There's hopefully with the 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, I hope his phone and his email box is
Him and the directors, get them to do some shit.
I want more from this team.
Yeah, put this team together. Give me some more. It's very good.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, man, like also like we've mentioned this, like coming into this, it has like a very like eerie kind of sense to this movie, right? So like I know Tommy has mentioned it, but what does this kind of like remind you of? Like this kind of like movie, this kind of style, this kind of campiness, like what kind of like it reminds you of? Like
Twilight Zone.
This whole thing had notes of like Exorcist, had notes of like SNL skits, had notes of just Daily Show. Like it
a Twilight
has
Zone
so much
episode.
going for it.
It's
what?
it's a straight up Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, it had Twilight Zone in it. It had oh my god,
Tales from the Crypt.
it's like Creep
like
Show,
Bates
Tales from the
Motel.
Crypt. Yep.
Oh, very good.
Like I got elements of Psycho in this. That it was jam packed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I like, and that's the that's the thing that I loved about it too. Like, it gives you it brings you back to a time where like you kind of like got deeply rooted into like the horror, you know?
Yeah.
With the layers and everything. Now let's get into like the actual possession, right? Like the possession, the girl and Laura, right? Like, well, Laura Gordon is June.
Yeah,
right?
she's June.
And then
she
Lily.
was June. And Lily, yes.
But now you need the background on Lily, because the point is with Lily. Now, again, for anybody that's listening, you are getting spoiled like crazy right now. I just want to make it clear. You are going to get spoiled like crazy. We should have said that in the beginning, but you are going to get spoiled.
Spoilers.
So if you haven't seen it and you really want to watch it, you want to get spoiled, you probably should have turned this episode off by now. Anyway, Lily is the surviving child in a satanic cult.
Where they
again,
bred
that's
children
important.
for being sacrifices.
Oh, shush! Because man, it's important. Everything matters in this movie. So, all right. So that had to be clear that she is the last survivor in a satanic cult that sacrifices children. Continue.
No, that was exactly what I was gonna say. She comes onto the show, and they're just like, "All right, well, let's talk about it." And of course, June is talking about it. They're doing else. The craziest thing is, as soon as Lily comes out, she's freaky as fuck.
Dude.
Right? She stares right at the camera. She gives her a little curtsy. She sits down and she's staring at camera B. And she's just there staring. And then she's like, they're like, oh, let's introduce June. June's like, oh, thank you, whatever. It's like, oh, and now it's Lily, and she's just talking right to us. Just right to us. And it's like, well, Lily, you don't have to look at the camera. You can look at me. And she's like, oh, okay. And she just turns slowly. And you're like, creepy as fuck.
She's always asking him cues of where to look or where she's talking to.
Do I look now?
And it's one of those creepy things of like, you ever see a child that's just so put together and so polite that you're like, that's not a fucking child.
Yes, that is a robot.
That's got to be a mimic or something.
Yeah. Oh, very good. That is a
The
mimic.
entire time, she's just like, there's this eeriness about her, but also this innocence, and you're just like, it's very much reminiscent of like Exorcist to me.
Omen.
Where you're like,
very Omen.
They're very Omen. Like, even when she's kind of sitting there holding her hands together, and like you see the stills of her background of her like standing on the roof of the insane asylum or whatever. I'm just like, that's very, this is all for you, Damien. Like,
Definitely.
it gave me a chill, and I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
not often like, and we've seen that trope before where they're like, oh, it's a creepy child. There's something off about this that made it good and so out of character. Because we've seen that trope before many times. It's never going to go away. But something about Lily being so put together after all that's happened, and she's talking about, she called Mr. Wriggles?
Mr. Wiggles.
Mr. Wiggles.
Because
Wiggles.
Makes it get a wiggle.
Wiggles inside of her brain and
Wiggles
wiggles
in her
out.
brain.
So I'm sitting there going,
Very good.
she gave it a name. Which is something you're not supposed to fucking do, even if it's a personal name. But she gave it a personalized name. So I'm like, this is a part of her. It's never fucking leaving.
Yeah. The fact that she's living with it, like, and she's making peace with it. You know what I mean? Like,
what did she say
him
that
Mr.
Jane
Wiggles.
said to her? It was something like, well, Jane told me that we all have demons inside of us. Some of us can control them and some of them can't. And I'm sitting there going, oh, she's literally harboring this thing and it's going to be with her for the rest of her life.
Yes.
Yeah, that, but also that line was deeper than just a spiritual entity. Like, Jade meant it as like,
those words meant for everyone in that freaking
everybody
room.
has fucking demons,
especially
like,
Jack.
They're dealing
sometimes
with, or
we
they're
control
not
them
dealing
and
with
sometimes we can't.
Especially
everyone
Jack.
in that room had a different meaning for that phrase.
Yes, including the audience, like
including the audience,
like us as audience members watching this are going like, no, that's a good line right there, and well delivered from a child.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Put her in more movies.
Going back to like how, like, you know, kudos like with the whole trope that's been overdone. Again, I'm going back to just the way it felt like we were watching something real. Like it was it was very meta. Like it was almost like we were watching the behind the scenes of like this movie, and they're telling us how it was created and what they had to do to get in character. But like it was the setting, the intimate setting that they put us in, like in the beginning, you know, that made us kind of like immerse ourselves in it. And that's what made it refreshing. That's what made it different, right? Because they did it that way instead of just like, here's enough found footage. Like, no.
They also give you enough information in the background dialogue, like when they're offset. They could be offset for all of like 2 minutes, just in between sets. And we are given so much information in sentence. And then the background, it is insane. Like finding out, you know, Jane adopts Lily.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one sentence of her just saying, I took her in and I showed her love and we're family. It's like, wait.
Like
this girl was rescued from a satanic cult and you were studying her and then decided to adopt her.
That's right. It's like
and
studying
we got
a
all
monkey
that
and keeping
in
it.
a sentence.
Yes. That's how insane it is. It's like you're studying a monkey and then you're like, I'm just going to keep it. I'm just going to keep the monkey. It's not. I'm not going to keep it in a cage so I can study it.
At that point,
it's a
rabid
experiment.
monkey.
Yes, and she knows that.
At that point, it's a rabid monkey, and you go.
And she knows that, though. She knows it because she literally says, like, when he's like, hey, can we bring out Mr. Wiggles? And she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. We probably shouldn't do that. There's too much going on.
She's actively warning him against it because of what happened the previous day that we didn't get to see.
It's now, here's the thing. When Mr. Wiggles finally comes out, and again, we have Carmichael, who's just, this is all bullshit. You're
he's calling him out left and right.
Like, this is bullshit. You're doing it for money. I wonder how she got involved. How dare you do this to a child? You should be taken away from that. Fucking love the way he did it. But it's when Mr. Wiggles finally comes out and we get that exorcist moment. The face changes, the contacts in the eyes. The first thing that Mr. Wiggles or Lily does is turns her fucking head, looks right at Jack, and goes, nice to see you again. And if you didn't catch it, that was another, again, you have to pay attention to these words that are being said. She said that for and his face is like, huh? Oh, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. David Dastmalchian was so fucking good in this movie. The way he played, like, his whole personality changes, but we, as the audience, we are rooting for him because we like his character because he's a nice guy. No,
dude, what was the other personality on stage? Was it Gus?
Yeah,
Gus was his right hand man.
His right hand.
Gus even tells him, like, "Hey, you're a good man."
Yeah.
At some point in this movie. And it's like, are you telling that to him or are you trying to convince you that he's a good man?
Because he's on television.
That, he also tried to warn him, like, stop this shit. It's not right. Like,
he was ready to have an exorcist.
You're playing with too much right now. You're playing with too much. And
like, a man is dead already. Like,
he didn't care because it's about views. He wanted to be number one. He wanted to beat Johnny Carson. We even have in the beginning, they show the fucking ratings. He was number two and shot down. And there were fucking shows that were All in the Family was on that list, by the way. Like, there were, they treated this like it was real life. He was number two, Carson was one, and then he just dropped. And Carson always stayed number one. So the fact that his whole mindset is we are going to get the most views ever on live television, and we will be number one. We find out so much more as the movie continues, but that's why, like, his whole goal, they're like, hey, stop this. It's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, no, it's worth it. You go back to Christo with the situation when he mentions the ring. Somebody in here is married that like has a ring on their finger, but they're not really married.
He's not married.
And you're sitting there as an audience watching.
An unmarried man wearing a ring.
An unmarried man wearing a ring, which is Jack, because his wife is dead. He's no longer married. Right. And he still has the ring. And they focus on the ring a lot. The fact that he's like, what was Minnie, right? Or was it what was it? I think it was Minnie.
It was Madeline, but he called her Minnie.
But he called it, but only
secret
name. And we found that out too.
Minnie.
Just like, Minnie. That was
only.
We're sitting there going, Minnie, that's not him. Until he reveals later that was their secret
off camera.
Name.
Off camera, he does it in black and white. He goes, "Yeah, that was the secret name I had for her." So he's like, he was talking about me, and you're like, but he knew that and never reacts. Like, he just sits there.
He never said a
fucking word.
And I love that shot when Christo is overwhelmed with the message and his eyes roll into the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
And you see him like fast blink and he says, "Who will accept this message?" Like really loud. And the whole studio is just dead fucking
No one says a word.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. And if you blink, you might have missed that eye roll, which is great.
It was very good.
They put little things in there.
I love that makeup, dude. Like that. That's when I kind of like sat up in my seat and kind of like wiggled to the end of the couch and I'm like, go on.
I like you did that. I like
I did. The special effects was really good. We had practical effects in this movie.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like it was so good, and we keep getting little hints of that, like raised tension, and like, oh my god, I know what's going on, and then I don't know where I don't know what the fuck is going on, right? So then, all right, we talked about like when the actual possession, we see Mr. Wiggles, right, and then all that, they finally get her back, and then they cut to commercial.
She levitates,
and like, yeah, she fucking levitates.
That was the most Exorcist thing for me, is like when her face changes and she's got like the cuts and stuff in her skin. And I love that they use the trope of when somebody gets possessed, their hair like automatically becomes greasy and like unkempt.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, that right there is literally the trope of being possessed, but it was so well done. it fit into the story so well that I'm like, they could use every goddamn trope in the book and I'd still love this.
And
because the tropes are actually hitting. Let's not forget, like everyone
They're
says
hitting.
tropes.
They're doing it.
Everyone says tropes, yeah, but they're there for a reason, right? Those are cues in movies that if they're executed the right way, you get a great movie. And guess what?
Yeah.
They executed an Exorcist very well. I want to say that scene alone was better than anything we fucking saw from Exorcist Believer.
Yeah. Yeah, hands down.
That's not even,
what I mean?
like,
and
I hate to say
crazy.
it, it's almost not even comparable.
It's not. And it's so...
It could be the same shot
It only
next to each other,
happens
and I
one
would say
time.
that one's better. It's not
It
even
only
comparable.
happens one
It
time.
only happens one time in the movie.
Right.
She doesn't go to possession again and again. I mean, weird
Don't
things
go
happen
into
later.
possessive mode, like, yeah.
Only one time. And then she levitates, and, you know, Carmichael's calling that shit out left and right. Like, no, it's bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And like, they're trying to tell Jack to stop everything. Like, Jack, we need to stop. And he's like, keep going. Why? Because ratings, views, we want. And the producer comes in. He's like, yo, it's working.
like, yo,
it's working.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
He's saying half the crew, like, he tells him all the bad stuff. Like, half the crew wants to leave. We got Gus in the back trying to perform an exorcism. Your ratings are great.
Yeah. Like
he tells him all the
working.
bad stuff, but then tells him about the ratings. And it's immediate flip of like, things may be going sideways. You keep this shit going, you will be number one.
Yeah, and then he said it right before they went off air, where it went back on air. It was just like, if that crew wants to leave, it's okay. I don't care if there's 6 people here. We're gonna keep these cameras rolling.
Yep.
And it was perfect, you know. And then you cue in the next part, which is when Carmichael's like, I can do this. It was all hypnotism.
Yo.
And then he performs a hypnotism on everyone, basically. And that's when he breaks the fourth wall, kind of winks at us.
I love that.
But
I love that.
yeah,
by the
it
way.
was fantastic.
But here's the thing, and before you continue, because this is a very special scene, and like I brought up before, the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
The clock that turns
Yes.
into the spin, that's the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
And when he pulls it out is when he winks at the camera. Is when he's like, wink, like pretty much saying like, you know what's happening right now. And he's not only hypnotizing the audience and Gus and everybody there, he's hypnotizing us as well because we are the viewers.
When he says the most of the audience and like maybe 50% of the viewers at home or something.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to be one of those viewers.
We're a part of the viewers, so
we're part of the viewers that got hypnotized.
also fall into that. And the worm thing, he goes, oh, you cut on your neck there. And he's just like, yeah, it's again, practical effects.
Practical
and it got
effects.
me.
It did. You're like,
got-
oh,
yeah.
Got
that's
me to
nasty.
gag a little
Like he
bit.
just like,
That's
and then he rips open his stomach, and all the worms are coming out of you.
But
Like,
like the minute he's
yes!
pulling a worm out of his neck, I
Yeah.
actively went, "Ugh."
Yeah.
And he's just chilling. And then
got
at one
me.
point when he gets up, he goes, whoa, okay, all right. Like, that's enough.
He's like, that was weird. So when do we start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, we did.
Yeah.
And then they roll it, and we get to see the opposite of it, where it's
We get
just
to
him,
see the actual
what
light.
actually
Yeah,
happened.
but the best part about that is when they asked Jack what you saw, he's like, we all saw what you like. You're like, we saw worms coming out of him. Like, are you serious? Like, it was just like, did you? And then we saw the footage, and then it was just all part of our heads. And then
Did you notice Lily
It was
though?
really well done.
Oh yeah, Lily.
When
was
she just goes, that man is acting so silly.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but then afterwards,
She didn't see it.
She didn't
because
see it.
she's possessed.
Well, because I'm also
So she
wondering
knows
if
she
Lily
can't get
might have
hypnotized.
seen it, or maybe what was it? It was Vishnu that was.
Oh,
Possessing her?
the demon?
I forget the name of the demon that they were like,
Mr.
oh,
Wiggles.
No, because it was
Yeah.
like abracadabra.
Yes, one of those. Like, yeah.
well, that's where the magician's
But
words come
it's
from.
from
but,
the
like,
demon. The name of
is.
the demon was where abracadabra came from. That's what
Right,
what they were
right.
explaining.
There's something in the lore about it, but I think it was like a follower of Vishnu or something.
Some shit, because that's what Carmichael said.
It was like a lesser
Right.
demon of Vishnu.
The way Carmichael said it, he
Yeah.
goes, yeah, hence abracadabra. And then
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, exactly. That's what the abracadabra. You're like, yeah, bingo.
So
No,
I'm wondering
there's a
if like
connection.
half of her saw it and half of her didn't, because she said that man is acting so silly. But then afterwards, when everyone was mad, she goes, like, what just happened?
Mhm. Well,
And
no, I
what
think
was it
I don't think
James
she's
saying?
seen it.
Like, he just played a really
Yeah.
mean trick on us.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Lily didn't Lily knew exactly what was going on because she has the demon in it, right? Because
Right.
like that's why she wasn't able to get possessed. That's why he was like, oh, that man's acting silly, because he's like, oh my god, oh, and he's like, oh, he's acting mad silly. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing there. What do you guys all? And then that's where Jane's like, oh, well, he played a trick. He's like, oh, all right, I get it. It was a trick. I don't really get it, but I didn't see anything you saw because I have an actual fucking demon inside me.
Right. Like she can't be hypnotized because her mind is already occupied.
The demon's like, don't worry about this smoke and mirrors shit.
It's all a bunch of bullshit.
But I love also, and this goes back to like the great character that is Carmichael. It was just like, well, if you think it was not bullshit, then the same way we ran the tape, let's ran your tape.
Yeah.
You know? And then it was like, we'll run it right after this commercial break.
Like the fact that Lily's in on it too, where she's just like, well, if you could do that, like she's really trying to prove that it is real in the most innocent of ways.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to me because, like, again, she's going through this traumatic stuff and Jane's just trying to be very, very gentle with her and very protective, very fragile with her. But Lily's the one that's kind of driving it. Even when Jane says, like, no, we're shutting this down, we're not going to do it. Lily's the first one to say, no, we're going to, we're staying. Like,
there's a reason for that.
The demon, as we know, the demon had an ulterior motive. So
there's a reason for it.
But Lily doesn't understand that. Correct. So the fact that Jane is knowing that she is possessed is still listening to Lily, it's like, which one of you is the parent?
Well, yeah.
Like, I know we got it.
Well, who's
great,
really running? Who's driving the bus?
Yes.
Well, you also
who is
talk
driving
about
that bus
like
for
the
both
manipulation. Like it's remember, like it is the demon taking the vessel of Lily, right? So the fact that Jane cares so much and she still feels like there's a little girl in there, it's almost like, oh, just like a parent wants to do anything for their kid, it's like, fine, like, you know, like we'll do it, you know, and the demon is just manipulating her, right?
Yes.
The demon is just like using that to that advantage to get what they want.
I understand it's the demon. I just also feel like Jane was interesting with Lily because kids want what they want.
Yeah.
Tommy, as a parent, if your kid wants something and you know it's terrible for them, are you still going to say yes just because they're your kid?
It depends. What is it?
If they keep bitching about it.
If they're really into something that you know is going to hurt them.
What is it though? Like what's hurting
them?
You know, playing football can hurt you, like, you know.
No, but I mean, like, actually, like, hey, I want to do skydiving. It's like, all right, are you going to get trained in skydiving? No, I'm just going to do it.
Oh no, I would not be okay with that.
So Lily's fucking skydiving, and Jane is just like,
Jane's like, hey, no, June.
If
June's
it's what
like,
you want, or June, just if it's what you want, I guess.
Yeah,
like, no. Pump the brakes for a minute.
Yeah.
So
but
someone else is driving
you
that
also
bus.
got to realize what's going on with Jack and her, right? There's a lot of sexual attention. They're doing stuff.
Yeah.
They've been fucking. Let's just be honest.
From the beginning.
Well, Lily calls that shit right out.
She thinks you're very, very handsome.
Yeah.
She
so
thinks you're
I feel
very,
like
very handsome, Jack.
I feel like June is already getting it from both sides. Like, I want to help this guy that I'm dating or whatever, like be number one because I care. You know, I also am getting manipulated by this girl that I just fucking adopted that happens to be possessed. Like, maybe I'm strong enough to deal with it and control it, you know, like, but that's what's so good again about this movie, the layers of relationships and the layers of like just people wanting to succeed and like people's own greed or people's own optimisticness, if that's a word, but like just playing on all of our fears, all of our mishaps, all of our like our uncertainties on top of being so gullible.
Dude,
you know?
Yeah.
And so then we cue back to then the big scenes in the end. And you know, Lily's getting a little bit mad, right? We're going back into, you know, Lily wanting to prove it. No, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. And then out of nowhere, electricity starts coming through. She's like, what the hell is happening now? How is she getting electric all through her? And then out of nowhere, she just fucking splits.
Crazy.
Her face splitting open was a scene that my mouth dropped. Like, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I said the
I gotta
same
be honest
thing.
with you. I was in it all the whole time, and then as soon as that shit happened, my TV went out for some reason, and the whole movie stopped. The whole movie stopped, and I got so angry.
Matt, get a cleansing of your house.
Yeah, right. I should. Fuck, I never even thought of that. Now I'm gonna burn some sage after this episode.
Definitely got to do that.
I'm definitely burning some sage. But wow, I didn't think about that. This is why you're everyone's favorite creep. You're everyone's favorite creep because of that. My
electricity and
my hair's
your whole TV just shut off.
Which was wild because it made it more immersive for me.
You were like,
I'm like,
oh my
I
God.
need to know what happened. And now I felt like one of those people who made him number one because I need to know what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. It's human nature. Mysteries need to be solved.
So then I went to the bathroom and I came back and I put it back on, right? So and I was just like, Jesus Christ. And then right off the bat, we get kind of like a great kill. And I forget the co-host name,
Gus,
but Gus just head turn all the way fucking around,
which
is completely around.
That brings it back because when he was being hypnotized by Carmichael, he asked like, "Oh, what are you going to make my head turn all the way around?"
Yes, foreshadowing.
It was like one of the best foreshadowing. I was just like, "Oh, he's playing on another classic possession trope." Blah blah blah. Like it's just supposed to be a thing. And the fact that it happens, I was like, holy shit,
and
never
like
mind.
an instant too. She just looks and then it's just, and you're like, oh, that happened.
Yeah. And then the whole
there.
body just fell on the glass table.
Yeah,
and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I started laughing at that point too. I was laughing. I was like, oh shit. I was like, this shit, it just got real. Like there's a person with a split head right now, which is the demon. You see when it splits the fire and whatnot. So that's the demon. Mr. Wiggles is here now. And death. And then the fucking chain that goes around June's neck.
Oh my God.
I like that June's immediately like, oh, I can fix this by saying the chant. That again, foreshadowing. While she was chanting and Lily was levitating in the chair, the demon's speaking the words back to her.
Chanting
like,
with her.
So clearly that power is diminishing.
It doesn't work.
At that point in the movie. So by the end, when she's getting the necklace pulled on her fucking neck and she's trying to say the words, it's like, that's not going to work.
It's not going to work now.
It wasn't working too well before.
And then split neck, blood everywhere.
We got the right there. Perfect. Look beautiful. Nice and quick, like too. Nice and quick. They didn't have to focus. And that's another thing, cinematography, the way it was directed. You get it. It moves on. Like it's not, we're not going to sit here and just, look at the way it looks. And she's sitting there and just splurting out. They were like, no. We're not going to do that kind of film.
It's like a real-time show of it happened.
Bang. Camera
There are
two.
other things happening. You can't focus on that because something else is happening.
Yeah,
so it's
chaos in itself. Like it's just chaos everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you a lot right now because slow burn, it's lit. Let's go.
But they focus on it the proper way too. It's like because there's a lot happening right now. We're going bang, and we're not just going bang, 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 bang. We're going bang, bang, bang. So we get Gus gets his head whoosh, right over to June. Doom, doom, doom.
Right.
Bang, right after June, she fucking turns right at Carmichael. He drops to his knees, pulls the check out, by the way, because that's going to do much. Here you go. I believe.
Burns
the fucking thing and burns his ass alive.
Yo.
And you're like, bang, bang, bang. All three are gone.
Watching the skin on his face just like melt and collapse into itself.
Yep.
Just
it was almost like
so
built up the gore for it, right?
Oh,
right? You
100%.
get the split neck, you didn't not much gore. Boom, slams him down on the table. Then you get blood and a sliced throat. Boom, and then you get melting flesh. Like it's the ultimate buildup, of death.
Yeah,
the trifecta.
And
it's
that's
wild.
what it was. A perfect hit too. Like I said, just bang, 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 and then focused right back to Jack.
Yep.
We're getting right back at Jack. And this is where things got a little fucking weird, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's when Jack goes to leave. All right. Well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, as this is all happening, when it starts to really go down is when the producer lets him know, hey, you've reached number one. You now have the most views in all of fucking, all the history in America. And that's when shit starts. After he's informed that, is when the split happens and everything. Because as we learn later on, the deal has, and it's so it is done, as the last
I love
words
that
in
touch.
it.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it is done. So the deal was made, and that's what we get to learn as he goes back and, he tries to leave, the door closes, and then he ends up back at the show.
Yeah.
And I love
But on
this.
previous episodes that they had showed us
I
in the
believe
intro.
that was like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he
yeah,
comes
yeah.
out and people in, it's like Gus is there. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like,
Yeah.
how the hell did I get here? Well, you went down, 7th Avenue and 46th Street. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah,
And he's-
making the
and
jokes like normal.
He's
just the
all
round.
confused because he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next scene was the caveman scene that we see in the beginning, which is the
yeah.
lowest point. Now he's stooped so fucking low that now he's doing this stupid little caveman thing. He rips it. What the fuck is going on? Like, this is, again,
Yep.
Twilight Zone. This is all Twilight Zone right here. And then the next scene. And the next scene is where you get it. Now it's put in front of your face, just like,
Yep.
here you go. Can you figure out what's going on right now?
Yeah.
And now, remember how I mentioned the audience? Everybody matters in this movie. There's a
Yep.
gentleman in the audience who shows up in this scene, was the skull guy. He was dressed
Yep,
like the
skeleton.
skeleton.
I
And
don't
he
know if you guys
He makes
caught
the
this.
rib.
In the beginning when they
Yeah,
stopped it, he was
I don't
like,
know if you
"Go."
guys caught this. The entire time it panned to the audience, that skeleton did not move.
He does
did
not move.
Clap. Did not react.
correct.
The only thing that happens is his eyes move
Yes.
to Jack and then back to Jack when he's on stage.
And
Yep.
also, don't forget that Lily looks at him.
Yep.
Yes.
She does pan and look, and we just see the audience, but
Yes.
he's right there, and we get the whole like, "Hey, if I poke you here, is it gonna, poke your rib out or some shit like that? Hit your funny
You gonna
bone."
bust a rib?
Doesn't fucking move. Just the eyes
No
move.
move, just no reaction, just the eyes looking to acknowledge that he is there.
Yep.
That
and
it's a real
and we
person.
see him
Yeah.
again, and we do
Yep.
see him in the next scene from there, which shows that there's the cult, the satanic cult that was mentioned in the beginning of the movie.
Yep. And guess who was dabbling with him?
Somebody was playing the little games with them, and it was none other than Jack.
Yep. None other than Jack.
Wanted to be number
What was
one.
the cult called? Like the Grove?
Oh, I forget.
I forgot the name
I
of
think
the
it was
cult.
La
I
Culte de
forget.
Grove, so it
Yeah.
translates to like
And
the
then
Grove.
we get the flashback scene with him and his wife. And it's at her last
That's
day.
a sacrifice.
That's
Yeah.
the sacrifice.
He had to sacrifice something. He sacrificed
Yep.
his wife because they mention in the narration,
That Faustian bargain of
That
like
she
you can
and-
have what you want.
yes, but
At
you
a
have to
cost.
sacrifice.
At
But
a cost.
they mentioned that she died of lung cancer without
Yep.
ever smoking a cigarette.
Ever
that
smoking
was
a cigarette.
mentioned. That's why even the narration, you got to pay attention. The words matter. That was mentioned for a fucking reason.
For a
Yep.
reason.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And then you see him break down because then he realizes he fucked up. He's like, I fucked up here. I love that scene when he's talking
Yep.
to his wife and whatnot.
And she
When
was just
she's like
"Just
laying
do
in the
it.
bed at the end too.
Just do
like,
it. Yep.
And she's saying just do it, or like
you know what
she
needs to
says,
be done.
You know what you need to do.
You know what you need to do.
it for
you
me,
didn't know
please.
it would be at the cost of me
Yep.
or something, but it's like
Yep.
he did.
He did.
Yeah.
He absolutely
did.
did. So like now that's where it comes into play where she goes, you know what you need to do, because it's like, hey, you wanted this, you have to do this.
That's
and
right.
then you get another flash forward of like when she was on the show and it was just like, you remember that?
Yeah.
And like, he's sad, obviously, but like more of like sad and like mad at the way that he knows what he has to do already, even
Yeah.
on that show. And like, it's just like, he's just sad. He's just like, fuck, like I'm so fucked up. Like he's dealing with that. He's dealing with it. You
Again,
know?
I love when we
and
see
then he
that
has
at
to
the
relive
end.
that again.
Seeing
you
that
know?
at the end to come back to Gus's words of "You're a good man,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh no,
He's
he's
like,
not."
no, he's not. He's a very, very bad
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he already has a body under him and his wife already. And then,
It's one of those
then
movies
as
that
he grabs the knife and
Which is the satanic knife, by the way.
which is
Right,
the
it's the
satanic knife that
satanic
they
ritualistic
mentioned a bunch
knife.
of
The
times. They had it on
sacrificing
there.
knife.
Yep.
And I caught this too when everything's moving so fast before the demon actually splits Lily's head and the death scenes occur. That ritualistic knife, he puts it like he has it in his hand and he's looking around of where to put it. He puts it in between him and Lily on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, why the fuck would you put that knife so close to a girl that's possessed by the demon that that knife was used to like bring out? That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
I was not expecting the end to be what it was based on that knife next to Lily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And cue in the twist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love
Pun
it.
intended. Stab his wife.
Uh-huh.
Here's all the twisting, and then cut back to the studio. He just murked Lily.
Yeah.
The sacrifice
Nobody
was
else
made.
The
was
sacrifice
there. There's
was done.
chaos all over the studio. Boom. You're number one.
You hear the sirens in the background.
You hear the cops are coming.
Yep. And they're panning out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
See
just
chaos.
like, holy shit.
And he's like, wow.
I love that he brought back Carmichael's words when he was trying to wake Gus from his trance, which was dreamer awake.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he's standing there like dreamer awake, trying to process like, am I actually awake? Am I still going through this?
Yeah. Yeah. That was...
And then the movie ends.
It was fantastic. We get that whole
beautiful.
little... With the scene, and then the words change, where so it's, I think it said like final
End transmission.
End transmission, and then
yeah,
and so it is done.
And so it is
Yep.
done.
And
So
I
it
was
is
sitting there
done.
going,
Flips back to end transmission again.
"Whoa, that's good." And so it is done. He finished the whole ritual, the sacrifice.
He did.
that
Ritual was
did.
complete.
They made it clear that you have to kill a child, which he does. He had to
Yep.
sacrifice his wife to get what he wanted, which was number one. He got it.
He got it.
He got what he wanted, and now he gets to go to jail because he just
Yep.
murdered somebody on live television. How do we know it was live television, Mr. Malave?
Because it was in color.
Because it was in fucking color,
The
and the only
whole
reason we
thing
fucking
was
knew
in
that
color.
is because of the black and white was in real time, real life. That was fucking genius.
It was beautiful.
It was incredible.
It was so well done.
And you, when you're
It was
watching it,
incredible.
you see the camera because they show the other cameras and they're falling over. So you're like, what the fuck? No, that's why it was shot that way. That's why
Camera
on
one
camera,
is always
camera one
on.
is always running, and bang. That's why it's not in black and white. Because if it was in black and white, that means the cameras
Camera
are off.
one is, I believe camera one is always the one that's on the still.
That's
yeah,
the one
because
in the back.
even when it
It's not a
pans before the killing,
Yeah.
it literally pans over to the audience, and you see the camera on
You
the
see
stilts
camera
right
one.
in the two pews for the audience.
That's right, and it's always towards the back more of
Yes.
the camera ones where it didn't get knocked down.
Centered.
Yep.
Yep.
And I love just that fact that when we get back, when he's doing the stab, it's in color, which means the cameras are still rolling. Hence why the cops are coming, because they're like, we see all this shit happening right now.
Yep.
And we're going to arrest this man. So he got what he wanted. His wife is now dead because he sacrificed her, kills a fucking child on live television, and he's going to jail now.
Yep.
The
Show
true
over.
Faustian bargain of you can have exactly what you want. It may not be what you want specifically, but it's one of those monkey paw situations. You have to be so damn specific about
Yeah.
what you want.
Mhm.
Because if he says, I want to be number one with the most ratings in the world,
Mhm.
all right, you will
Like, we can do
for a
that.
day.
Yep.
Yeah,
For one day.
you got
For-
it.
You will
for
be
Sweet
number
Week.
one.
You are number one.
Number one in Sweet
Yep,
Weeks.
yep.
One
But-
day. And at the cost of literally everything.
Every little thing.
Yep. Yep. And I love also like while all this is happening towards the end or whatever, you hear Carmichael what like him saying, he goes, you did it, you son of a bitch. Like
Yeah.
he goes like, you did all of this because of that. Like you wanted to be number one, you sick son of a bitch. Like you got it.
You are number
Yeah.
one.
You got it. I don't know how you did it. I don't know whatever else like that you have back going over there, but this is great. This is genius. And then he winds up dying. But yeah, it's also like, I don't know how you did it. Well, we know how he did it.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, but it all unfolded.
It was
And
fucking
Carmichael
phenomenal.
mentions the cult earlier, saying like, hook me up, especially with the orgies.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was yeah.
And it's one of those things of like Carmichael realizes like he's maybe involved in some bullshit, but he doesn't understand how far he's willing to go for it.
That's right.
Mhm.
So it was just so
And-
well done.
It was so good. So good.
This movie was really good. This movie
Yeah.
was really fucking good. And like just when it ended and the way it ends, and you're just like, what? But then when you
Yeah,
sit
you're
back
like,
and you really think about it and you made sure that you paid attention, even if that's why I was like, gotta watch it again because maybe there's things to miss. There's always something to miss, in a movie. But
I'm pretty sure the second run through and third run throughs, we're gonna keep picking up more cues.
Sure, I feel this is something that I would pay to get this movie on Blu-ray or 4K, whatever it is.
100%.
I would definitely give them my money because I want to see both directors continue on, cinematographer continue on, like everybody.
If it was coming out in theaters tomorrow, despite me already seeing it, I would go see it again.
I would go see it again.
I would pay money to be like, here, I'm going to experience this in a theater.
Yeah, I love that too. And that's the same thing with me. It's just like I saw it at home and everything, but once it comes out on March 22nd in theaters everywhere, I feel like it's not going to get as big of a release because it's not a bigger buzz going on with this movie right now.
Oh, I'm recommending this to everybody I know.
we need to do our part and recommend it to people because it needs to be in like every theater. It needs to have one of those mass releases to like make sure they have enough people watching it because I feel like enough people go to the movies to watch bullshit anyway, and they're highly disappointed. If they see this, all it takes is that one crew of people to see this movie and then keep telling their friends, and then it's gonna spark lightly because this movie was done so well that everyone's gonna talk about it, and we need to start
100%.
that buzz.
Yep.
Which is why I'm grateful that we're one of the first ones to watch it, and we can release this when it's time, and we can start creating more buzzes around it because this movie is fantastic.
Hands down. Another shout out to Strike Media and Shudder for this because you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to watch this.
Yeah.
Before everybody else, mind you.
And Vertigo. And Vertigo releasing.
And Vertigo.
Shout out to Vertigo releasing because they're also involved with this. And
Vertigo releasing, Strike Media, and Shudder. Thank you so much.
This was great.
Definitely.
I was so excited when we were offered the opportunity to do it because I saw the name and I went, oh yeah, a movie I really want to fucking see. And it didn't disappoint. Everybody was great in it. The acting was great. Cinematography was great. The direction was great. The writing was great. And usually on this show, we tend to watch movies that we don't like, and we like to shit on them because it's more fun to make fun of a movie. But this movie it's worth it. It's such a goodie. Such a good one.
Listen, whether we're talking about like laughable movies or complete shit movies, it's still a review. And this one, I think, is just so well done that we unanimously said that it is fantastic. And I think, Tommy, I believe you're the one that said this is the first time that's happened for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where all three of us were like, 100%, this is gold.
In.
This is great. Let's do this.
We were in. And then I guess, so the bell's about to ring soon. I guess will leave it as, we'll give our ratings out of 5 stars. And then we'll say goodbye. So I'll start with Florida's favorite creep, Sabrina Ace.
If we're going out of 5, I am giving this movie 5 stars.
5 stars.
Hands
Big
down.
5. Very nice.
Everything
Big
about
5-0.
this movie from start to finish, even if I didn't know it in the beginning until I got to the end, from the start, I was invested. To the end, I was overwhelmed by how great everything was. The way they shot it, the dialogue in between, because the dialogue is what runs the story. You don't see him go, out into the cult and do a satanic ritual. It's all through dialogue first. The scripts, the actors, the acting, hands down, all of it was perfect to me. 5 stars out of 5.
Sweet. I love
Very
that.
nice.
I love that. Tommy.
I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Me and 4.5 stars because, again, like Sabrina said, everything in this movie was great. It was just fucking awesome. I had a great fucking time. It's very difficult for me to just hand over a 5-star. A 5-star means perfection. To me, it's I will watch this movie over and over and over again. And I feel this is one of those movies. Yes, I will recommend it to many people, and I will watch it more than once. I will watch it more than 5 times. Will it be on my shelf? Yes. But there's other movies that I would go to before I would go to this movie. But it deserves all the credit. It needs to be watched. You need to put your money invested into this movie and to everybody involved in that movie. This movie's fucking awesome. And I hope when we go when we go to Spooky Empire in October, we're going to ask people, did you watch this movie? And they're going to be like, no. And I'm going to be like, well, go fucking watch it right now. Because you need to watch
listen
it.
To our episode.
Because, man, you're going to have to go back months, probably the season 2. Yeah, they'd have to go back to semester 2 because by then we're probably on 4. So be like, go back to semester 2 and go watch it and listen and fucking just do whatever you can to see this movie. It's worth it. What was it? Like an hour and a half long too? Like hour 40 minutes?
Hour 40.
So plenty of time.
An hour and 40.
Plenty of time. Grab some popcorn, some soda, smoke a little pot, drink a little beer, whatever works for you. Just watch the fucking movie. It's worth it.
100%.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. And it's a warranted score too. And I'm gonna have to just piggyback off of you guys because it is that damn good. And nothing is damn near perfect, right? But it's close to it. I feel like we alluded to it earlier today too when we opened up. Like, this is the best horror movie I've seen in probably the last 3 to 4 years. You know, and it's no small feat, right? And the fact that it's coming off of a movie that, yes, it had some buzz from you, Tommy, and everything else like that, but honestly, out of nowhere for me and for most people in this world, right? Like, or maybe in the nation US or something. Maybe it's bigger in UK. I don't know. But either way, like, the fact that this movie is so good and it's flying under the radar like this is a crime. I'm gonna go with a 4.5 as well, maybe a 4.8, because of the cinematography at once. The writing of this movie was great. The attention to detail in this movie, and also just the cliffhanger at the end too, just kind of gives you all of that. And we kept saying it, the tropes. They're tropes for a reason. They're outlines for a movie for a reason. And when executed right, you get a damn near perfect horror film. And this is a damn near perfect horror film. I think Late Night with the Devil is by far one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last 5 years.
Even the title. How about the title of it? Late Night with the Devil.
Baby.
What do you think when you think Late Night with the Devil? Probably what everybody would think. All right, so we're going to have an exorcism on fucking television.
Yeah.
No, he's the devil. Because he's a bad person.
Because he's a bad person. And devils, everyone has demons in them.
If you look at the poster,
sometimes we can control them, sometimes we can't.
if you go and look actually at the poster, there's 2 posters of the film right now. Okay, so you have one poster where it shows the fire from his feet, and then the other poster is his entire face and top of his body engulfed in flames. He's the devil. He's the bad guy. That's the whole main. He is a bad man. All he did it for was for fucking views and for fucking ratings, and he got what he wanted, but he lost a lot out of it. And again, David Dastmalchian was a fucking boss in this movie.
Definitely.
He was fantastic. I wish I could meet the guy, just talk about the movie. Just this movie. I don't even talk about Suicide Squad or fucking Ant-Man or all those great shit that he's also in. Dune.
I don't want Dark Knight.
We're talking this film because this one's
great actor, but this movie like puts him so far above for me. Like, I love him in everything he does, but this is for real. He has so much range, but this leading moment is like, I want to see him in more leads.
Yeah.
100% need to see him in more leads.
But with the directors and the writers. Same ones as these guys.
Ones though. I need Spooky Empire needs to grab these guys.
Yeah.
Grab him, grab the director, both directors, and bring them there because I'd like to meet them. I will pay to see them. And
I would
sign a copy of my
so
Blu-ray.
much money to just interview them.
Yes.
I would cry.
I would love to. And we're not an interview kind of show, but
no, but
we will.
100%. If I had the chance and I told you guys, hey, we got them, the whole cast, or even just like David himself to be like, hey, we're getting him on the show. We're going to do an interview.
We're doing an assembly.
Yeah.
We would be doing it. We would be doing an assembly.
We have an assembly. All right, guys. Well, listen, the bell's about to ring. We're going to say our goodbyes, but don't forget to go watch Late Night with the Devil on March 22nd, and it's available all cinemas. And very soon after that, of course, I'm assuming it's going to be on Shudder.
April
It's a Shudder project.
6th, April 19th. It will be on Shudder.
19th on Shudder. So watch. Get this movie as many views as possible, and like let's just blow this shit out the water because this movie deserves it. David Dastmalchian deserves it.
He does.
All right. And with a horror movie being 100% fresh is a very rare feat. So go watch Damn Near Perfection. All right. And also, if you like what you're listening to, please enroll, subscribe, and comment, share, and be a part of the conversation. And come on down to a class at Night School Horror where we talk some good shit and we get some great and not so great movies to watch before everyone else. So I'm happy for that. And let's just say our goodbyes right now. Just whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Night School Horror. Don't forget to enroll, subscribe. Don't forget to rate us. Don't forget to comment. Shout out to Nigeria and Canada because Canada now has enrolled themselves in Night School Horror. Good job.
Yes.
Hey, good job, Canada. Again, go see this movie. And you have to know it's a fact because I'm the movie guy, baby. And I'll see you next week.
Bye, Tommy.
Bye. Get out of fucking class right now. Fuck you. Fuck yourself.
I'm closing him, locking him out.
That's fine.
All right, creep.
Well, it was fun, you guys. I enjoy this movie so much, and I'm so glad that we got to talk about it on episode. And for all of our listeners, make sure to enroll, subscribe, and join in on all of the horror spooky fun. Go watch Late Night with the Devil. Again, another big shout out and thank you to Strike Media, Vertigo, and Shudder for giving us this opportunity. Hands down, this was a true treat for all of us. Until then, catch me on the socials and stay creepy.
And I'm Mr. Malave, aka Matthew Malave, your professor for the evening and your longest reigning defending Who You Got champion. And we are clear with the devil in 3, 2.